Claire believed she had learned how to live with the past. She had trained herself not to think about certain names, certain streets, certain memories. On that Saturday morning, she wasn't looking for emotions. She just wanted normal life. Fresh fruit. Warm bread. Quiet thoughts. The farmer's market was busy but calm. People laughed. Children ran between stalls. Music floated through the air. Claire moved slowly, enjoying the small peace she had earned after years of rebuilding herself. This place felt safe. It always had. She stopped at a flower stall, leaning closer to smell the roses. That's when she heard her name, Claire. The voice wasn't loud. It didn't need to be. It cut straight through her. Her body reacted before her mind did. Her shoulders stiffened. Her heart dropped. She knew that voice even after all these years. She turned slowly. Standing a few steps away was Margaret, her ex-mother-in-law. Time felt strange in that moment. Margaret looked different. Older. Softer around the eyes. But the connection was still there, heavy and unavoidable. This wasn't just a woman from the past. She was a doorway to everything Claire had tried to leave behind. Oh, Margaret said quietly. It really is you. Claire forced a polite smile. Her hands trembled slightly, hidden in her coat pockets. She hadn't prepared for this. She hadn't imagined this. Yes, Claire replied. It's me. They stood there, surrounded by noise, yet locked in an uncomfortable silence. Margaret glanced around, as if making sure no one was listening. I wasn't sure at first, Margaret said. But then I saw the way you tilt your head when you're thinking. You always did that. Claire swallowed. Some habits never leave, she thought. They exchanged the kind of small talk people use when they don't know where to begin. Weather. Crowds. The market. Words that meant nothing. But everything underneath felt heavy. Claire tried to keep it short. She hoped Margaret would say goodbye and walk away, but Margaret didn't. You look, well, Margaret said carefully. Happy. Claire nodded. I try to be. Margaret hesitated. Her fingers tightened around her bag. Then she asked the question Claire feared most, are you married again? The question hit deeper than Claire expected. She shook her head. No. Margaret exhaled, as if she had been holding her breath for years. Another pause. Then Margaret spoke again, softer this time. And Ethan? The name changed the air between them. Claire felt a sharp ache in her chest. She hadn't heard his name spoken out loud by someone who mattered in a long time. She looked away, pretending to study a fruit stand. That's not something I talk about, Claire said. Margaret nodded slowly. I understand. But she didn't leave. Instead, Margaret sat down on a nearby bench and gestured gently. Just for a minute, she said. Please. Claire didn't want to sit. Every instinct told her to walk away. But curiosity, mixed with unresolved pain, pulled her down beside Margaret. What if the truth you never heard was the one thing that could change everything? Margaret's voice trembled. I've wanted to say something to you for a long time. Claire stared ahead. You had years. I know, Margaret replied. And I failed. That word, failed, caught Claire's attention. Margaret had never admitted fault before. There were things I should have told you, Margaret continued. Things I kept quiet about. I thought I was protecting my family. Claire's heart raced. Protecting from what? From the truth, Margaret said. Claire turned toward her, eyes sharp now. What truth? Margaret lowered her voice. Your marriage didn't end because love disappeared. It ended because both of you believed a lie. Claire laughed once, bitter and short. That's not how it felt. I know, Margaret said. Pain rarely shows the full picture. She explained slowly, carefully, choosing words like fragile glass. Ethan had believed Claire was choosing her career over him. Claire had believed Ethan stopped believing in her. Neither had said the right words at the right time. And Margaret had seen it happening, but stayed silent. I thought time would fix it, Margaret admitted. I was wrong. Claire's throat tightened. Memories rushed back. Fights that ended too quickly. Conversations that never finished. Nights filled with unsaid words. Why tell me this now? Claire asked. Margaret looked away. Because I saw you today. And I realized some wounds never heal if the truth stays buried. Claire stood up abruptly. This isn't fair. I know, Margaret said. But you deserve to know. Claire took a step back, ready to leave. That's when Margaret said the sentence that stopped her cold. He's back, Margaret whispered. Claire turned slowly. Who? Margaret met her eyes. Ethan. He moved back 3 months ago. The world felt unsteady. He works nearby, Margaret added. He comes to this market sometimes. Claire's breath caught. She looked around suddenly, as if he might appear at any moment. Her heart pounded loud in her ears. Margaret stood up too. I didn't plan this meeting, she said. But maybe it wasn't an accident. Claire didn't respond. She picked up her bag, her thoughts racing faster than her steps. As she walked away, one question echoed inside her again and again. Claire walked away from the bench, but her mind stayed behind. Every step through the farmer's market felt heavier than the last. The sounds around her blurred into noise. Laughter, music, conversations, none of it felt real anymore. One name kept repeating in her head. Ethan. Back in town. Close. Too close. She told herself not to look around. Not to search for a face she once knew better than her own. She focused on breathing, on moving forward, on pretending this was just another morning, but pretending had never worked for her. She stopped near a coffee stand, gripping the edge of the counter. Her reflection in the metal surface looked calm, but her eyes told a different story. They held unfinished chapters. Questions without answers. Can a heart move on if it never truly understood why it broke? Margaret's words replayed in her mind. A lie. A misunderstanding. Silence that ruined everything. Claire had built her life on the belief that the marriage ended because love faded. If that belief was wrong, then what had she been healing from all these years? She paid for her coffee but didn't drink it. Her hand shook too much. She turned, ready to leave the market for good. That's when she felt it, that strange awareness. The feeling of being seen. Her steps slowed. Her chest tightened. What if the person you're trying to forget is already standing behind you, Claire? The voice was familiar. Too familiar. She didn't turn right away. Her heart raced, her mind arguing with itself. If she turned, everything would change. If she didn't, she could pretend she never heard it, but some moments refused to be ignored. She turned. Ethan stood a few feet away. Time folded in on itself. He looked older, more settled, but his eyes were exactly the same. The same calm. The same depth. The same emotion he never learned how to hide. I thought it was you, he said quietly. But I wasn't sure. Claire searched for words. None came. Her throat felt tight. I didn't expect to see you here, she finally said. I come most Saturdays, Ethan replied. Guess today was different. They stood there, uncertain, like two people meeting for the first time while carrying years of history between them. What do you say to someone who once knew everything about you? Ethan broke the silence. You look good, he said. Not as a compliment, but as an observation filled with relief. So do you, Claire replied, her voice steady despite the storm inside. They began to walk, side by side, keeping a careful distance. Neither reached out. Neither wanted to cross a line too quickly. I heard you moved back, Claire said. Yes, Ethan answered. Work brought me here. But I stayed because it felt right. She nodded. She understood that feeling more than she wanted to admit. They stopped near a row of flower stalls. Bright colors surrounded them, but the moment felt quiet. There's something I should say, Ethan began. Claire's heart pounded. I never stopped caring, he said. Not for a single day. The honesty in his voice caught her off guard. This wasn't the defensive man she remembered. This was someone who had spent years thinking. I thought you chose your career over us, Ethan continued. I believed you were already leaving, even when you were still standing right beside me. Claire shook her head slowly. I thought you gave up on me. On believing in what I was building. They stared at each other, realization dawning too late. What if both of you were wrong, but neither knew how to ask the right question? I should have spoken, Ethan said. I should have fought harder. I waited, Claire replied. I waited for you to say something. Silence followed. Heavy but honest. I'm not here to fix the past, Ethan said carefully. I just didn't want you to think you were forgotten. Claire felt her eyes sting. She looked away, blinking back emotion. Before she could respond, a shadow crossed over them. Margaret stood nearby, her expression full of regret and concern. Ethan, she said softly. He turned, surprised. Mom? The tension shifted. Claire felt suddenly exposed, caught between past and present. Margaret looked at both of them. I won't stay, she said. I just needed to see you together. To know you finally talked. Ethan frowned slightly. Talked about what? Margaret hesitated, then met Claire's eyes. The truth, she said. Ethan's face changed. Confusion. Then understanding. He looked back at Claire. You know? Claire nodded once. The air felt fragile. Everything balanced on what Ethan would say next. He took a breath. Then maybe, he said slowly, we can stop pretending nothing mattered. Claire opened her mouth to respond, but a sudden sound interrupted them. Someone called Ethan's name from across the market. A woman waved, waiting. Claire's heart dropped. She didn't know who the woman was. She didn't know what role she played in Ethan's life now, and for the first time since seeing him again, Claire felt afraid of the answer. ****, what if the one moment you feared most arrived before you were ready to face it? ****. Claire's eyes followed the woman standing across the market. She tried not to stare, but her chest tightened on its own. The woman smiled politely, waiting, clearly expecting Ethan to come over. That single detail told Claire more than words ever could. Ethan had a life now. A present that didn't include her. Ethan noticed the change in Claire's expression. He glanced back at the woman, then returned his attention to Claire. She's a colleague, he said quickly, as if sensing the question before it was asked. Nothing more. Claire nodded, but her heart didn't calm. Even if the woman meant nothing, the reminder mattered. Time had passed. Lives had moved forward. How do you speak honestly when the truth might hurt more than silence? They walked away from the crowd, toward a quieter street near the market. The noise faded, replaced by the sound of traffic and distant music. The space felt safer, but also more serious. I didn't expect this, Claire said at last. Seeing you. Hearing all of this. I know, Ethan replied. I didn't expect it either. They stopped near a small cafe with outdoor tables. Neither suggested sitting down. Both seemed afraid that staying too long would make things harder. I spent years convincing myself it ended for a reason, Claire said. That we just weren't right anymore. And I spent years thinking I wasn't enough for you, Ethan said quietly. Those words landed hard. Claire turned to face him fully now. That was never true, she said. Ethan looked down, then back up. I know that now. But back then, I let my fears speak louder than my love. The honesty in his voice felt different from their past conversations. There was no defense left in him. No pride. Just truth. What if the person you loved finally became the person you needed, but too late? They walked again, slower this time. Every step felt careful, as if one wrong move could break something fragile between them. I wanted to reach out, Ethan admitted. So many times. But I didn't know if I had the right. I wanted you to, Claire said. But I was afraid I'd hear nothing back. Their eyes met. That shared regret hung heavy between them. They reached a quiet corner where a street musician played softly. The music filled the silence, giving them space to breathe. Do you ever think about what our life would have looked like? Ethan asked. Claire hesitated. Then nodded. More than I should. I picture small things, he said. Cooking dinner. Arguing over nothing. Growing old in ways that feel ordinary but meaningful. Claire swallowed. Those were the same thoughts she had buried deep. She took a step back. Ethan, we can't live in maybes. I know, he said. That's not what I'm asking. Then what are you asking? He took a breath, steadying himself. I'm asking for honesty. Just that. No promises. No pressure. Claire looked away, thinking. She had built walls for a reason. They had protected her. But walls also kept out warmth. Can you protect your heart without locking it away forever? Before she could respond, Margaret appeared again, slower this time, her presence careful. I won't interrupt, Margaret said. I just wanted to apologize to both of you. Neither spoke. They waited. I thought staying quiet would keep the peace, Margaret continued. Instead, it created distance that never healed. Ethan sighed. Mom, we can't change that now. I know, she said. But I won't carry that silence anymore. She turned to Claire. No matter what you decide, you deserve the truth. Claire nodded. Thank you for finally saying it. Margaret stepped away, leaving them alone once more. Ethan looked at Claire with uncertainty. I don't want to pull you backward, he said. But I don't want to pretend this meeting meant nothing. Claire felt the weight of that statement. Because it didn't mean nothing. It meant everything and nothing at the same time. I'm different now, she said. Stronger. More careful. So am I, Ethan replied. Maybe that matters. They stood in silence again. But this silence felt different. It wasn't filled with misunderstanding. It was filled with choice. What if the hardest decision isn't whether to love, but whether to try again? Claire finally spoke. I can't give you answers today. I'm not asking for them, Ethan said. She studied his face. The familiarity was still there, but so was change. I don't know where this leads, she continued. Ethan nodded. Neither do I. Across the street, the woman from earlier called Ethan's name again, her voice gentle but expectant. Ethan turned briefly, then back to Claire. I should go. Claire felt a quiet ache. Yes. They stood there, neither wanting to be the first to walk away. Then Ethan said, if you ever want to talk, really talk. I'll be here. He handed her a small card. His number. Simple. No pressure. Claire took it. Her fingers brushed his. A small contact. A big feeling. Ethan walked away. Claire watched until he disappeared into the crowd. She looked down at the card in her hand. And for the first time since the market, she wasn't sure whether walking away would hurt more than staying. Claire stood alone near the edge of the street, the small card still resting in her hand. Ethan's name stared back at her like a question she wasn't ready to answer. The farmer's market behind her slowly returned to normal, but her world felt paused. One meeting had undone years of certainty. She walked home, but her thoughts stayed behind. Every step echoed with what-ifs. What if she called him? What if she didn't? What if this was her last chance to understand a love that never truly ended? That night, sleep refused to come. Memory slipped through her mind quietly. Not the fights. Not the ending. But the good moments. Shared jokes. Late-night talks. The kind of closeness that doesn't disappear, no matter how much time passes. Can you ignore a feeling that refuses to fade, even after everything has changed? The next morning, Claire woke up to sunlight and restlessness. She made coffee but forgot to drink it. Her phone sat on the table, silent. She picked it up, then put it down again. She reminded herself why she had moved on. Why she had learned to be careful. Love had once broken her in ways she didn't know were possible. She had rebuilt herself piece by piece. Was she really ready to risk that again? At work, she struggled to focus. Words blurred on the screen. Conversations passed without meaning. Her mind kept drifting back to Ethan's voice. Calm. Honest. Different. That evening, her phone buzzed. A message. Unknown number. Hi Claire. It's Ethan. No pressure. Just wanted to say I hope you're okay. Her heart raced. Simple words. Gentle. Respectful. Not demanding anything. She stared at the message for a long time. Then she typed. Deleted. Typed again. Hi. I'm okay. Still thinking. 3 dots appeared. Then stopped. I understand. His reply came. Take your time. Claire set the phone down, her emotions tangled. He wasn't pushing. He wasn't pulling. He was simply there. And that scared her more than anything else. What if love doesn't return loudly, but quietly, asking for permission instead of forgiveness? Days passed. Then a week. Claire found herself noticing small things that reminded her of him. A song. A cafe. A shared habit she thought she had outgrown. One evening, she walked past the same cafe near the market. Without planning it, she stopped. Her heart beat faster. She stepped inside. Ethan was there. Sitting alone. Working on his laptop. Their eyes met. Surprise. Then relief. I didn't think I'd see you here, he said, standing up slowly. I didn't think I'd come in, Claire replied honestly. They ordered coffee. Sat across from each other. This time, the silence wasn't awkward. It felt intentional. I've been thinking, Claire said. About us. About who we were. And who we are now, Ethan added. She nodded. We're not the same people. No, he agreed. But maybe that's not a bad thing. They talked carefully. About growth. About mistakes. About learning to listen instead of assuming. There were no big promises. No dramatic confessions. Just honesty. Starting over still possible when the past knows your weaknesses. Claire leaned back, studying him. I'm scared, she admitted. So am I, Ethan said. But I'd rather be scared with the truth than comfortable with regret. That sentence stayed with her. Outside, the city lights flickered on. Time moved forward again. I can't promise anything, Claire said softly. I'm not asking for promises, Ethan replied. Just a chance to understand each other again. She looked at him. really looked. And for the first time, she didn't see the man who hurt her. She saw someone who had learned. Someone who had waited without demanding. "I need to go slow," she said. Ethan smiled. "Slow sounds perfect." They walked out together, stopping at the corner. The same place where people usually decide whether to go left or right. "I'll call you," Claire said. "I'll be here," Ethan replied. They parted without touching. But something between them had shifted that night. Claire lay in bed, staring at the ceiling. She wasn't healed. She wasn't certain. But she wasn't closed anymore.